Aloha, everyone. It's Wednesday, and that means it's news day. In the time before the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Aries was an era undreamed of. For nearly 500 episodes, the DAS team has scoured the internet for stories to tickle your fancy, pique your interest, and shake you to your core. And like Brutus's dagger, prepare your ignorance to be struck down like Caesar, with tales such as self-powered synapses that mimic human color vision, potential cyber eyes, and better self-driving cars. OpenAI is getting a biopic treatment with The Thanksgiving Tango, the will they won't they saga of Sam and the board. And also, Anthropic playing fast and loose with their own blog. But don't worry, Claude Explains. This is June 4th, 2025, episode 478, and this is the Daily AI Show. Today I am joined by Andy and Beth, and I am Jimmy. Thank you, everybody, for joining the live stream, and to all of you watching later. If you haven't already, click the bell, the like, subscribe, and join the discussion at thedailyAIshow.com. Okay, so
Bravo, bravo.
thanks.
We gotta step up our game, Andy.
Yeah, I know. This is real theater here now.
Well, I wanted to start off with a real quick story. And this is a Windsurf Anthropic story. So we've heard recently that Windsurf, a popular coding assistant platform, has been so reportedly in talks about being purchased by OpenAI, right? And everyone's assuming it's a done deal. Now, could this be affecting what reportedly they are experiencing now? Apparently, Anthropic is kind of throttled Windsurf because they're posting out there saying that or Anthropic has denied Windsurf their model access or first party model access to Claude 3.7 Sonnet and Claude 3.5 Sonnet AI models. So a lot of speculation going on there. Windsurf doesn't seem to be happy just because they said they got like a less than 5 days notice that was going to happen. So it could be that Anthropics just is taking preventative steps or blocking down the road. I think myself, I lean towards the fact that they probably just blanketed turning off or reevaluating connections to the older models because they seem to have this big push for just Claude 4 across the board since it's the same price. The pricing stayed the same. So we'll see if it was just a clerical error and not some nefarious plot between the two of them. So that's a quick one to get started.
On Claude,
Okay.
I wanted to make a couple of points. Claude Code has gotten a lot of attention as an agentic platform for coding. And one of the principal influencers that I follow, Sabrina Romanov, has said declaratively that she's giving up using Cursor and Windsurf and sticking with Claude Code. Now, Claude Code is using Opus 4, Claude Opus 4 as its brain in effect, and it's an agentic coding tool with novel components, a new architecture entirely that handles real-time responses from the Claude 4 model. It does tool execution, UI updates, safety systems for security, and this is representative of Anthropic's focus on coding and taking over really the vast demand that there is right now for AI in software development overall. And driven by the success of Anthropic's already very capable coding models, which now Windsurf is complaining about, Anthropic has now arrived at a 3 billion annual run rate. that number is really quite remarkable. We think of, ChatGPT as having, the huge, advantage there, and they are gonna do about $12 billion in revenue this year, but Anthropic at $3 billion is really it's nipping at the heels here, especially with the demand that there is now for Claude Code and just even for direct, access to Claude 4 in a number of other, let's call them vibe coding platforms out there who have all announced, "We use Claude 4, we use Claude 4." And so, uh, blocking Windsurf from having access to some Anthropic models is a strong competitive position, a competitive action, and, Anthropic has the chops to do it.
And just to be clear, when other platforms say we use Claude 4, they're generally saying we use Claude 4 Sonnet. They're not
Right.
saying we use Claude 4. We're not saying we use what you could use if you subscribe to us at this higher level. Yeah.
That's right. So, yeah, if you use Claude Code, then you're using Claude Opus.
Cool. Yeah, well, yes, let's pay attention to what unfolds here. So let's go to Beth. Beth, what do you have in terms of your most impactful story?
All right. So this is not one that I've seen talked about a bunch of places because we have more like major breaking stories, but this is about character AI, and I feel like any story involving character AI needs to be considered a major story just because it's such an it's a platform that has such huge engagement. And um when it's written about, it's not considered a Google, like, they came to Google, they left Google to start character AI, and then the people came back to Google. So, what is referred to now is the Google-backed AI companion platform, so I think that they have some independence within Google. But they've launched, basically a new multimodal push. So new ways to create, and the 2 big ones are Scenes and Avatar FX, though there are some others. Avatar FX lets you create and script scenes with your avatar.
Mm.
And what is interesting about this for me is that one of the things that we've seen and then you can share them. So first of all, you can like you can script what you want as your character and then publish that on the site. You can share it other places. One of the things that we think we're going to look for is these things showing up as YouTube Shorts and TikTok videos and those kinds of things. But you can script whole, multimedia the conversations that were maybe having you, be slightly, having a how do I say this? Most people engage on this platform are younger than I am, so this is gonna sound condescending, and that's not the way I mean it. But there is already some evidence about character AI engagement sometimes seeming to blur a line between reality and your personal sense of reality and sort of wish fulfillment. Um, I'm not sure that adding video to this is going to or an animated thing is gonna change that, a lot, or in a good way. But this is very exciting, and everything involving character AI is something that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, I think the Avatar FX feature, they did introduce it for like beta testing a month or two
Yes.
ago, but now it's rolled out to everybody. So everybody has access to it. And I saw a few examples. Um, they're not going to fool you so to speak, in terms of, "Oh, I think that's a real person," like the visual elements, but it does certainly add another layer to the immersiveness and the experience of that conversation. So I agree, Beth. I think, paying attention to how things develop out of character AI, there might be some other applications that this will move into beyond,
Uh-huh.
beyond in their current interface or their current offering, mainly because of another story that I'll weave into, and it's from Epic Games. Now, uh, off and on, I have talked about this. Carl has talked about this. Is having AI powered NPCs. So, Epic did essentially a soft launcher or beta experiment with what they were, building into, or making available for their developers, and this is an AI NPC. And the beta test was the AI character of Darth Vader in the very popular game Fortnite. And, apparently, they had to roll back after some initial testings because, players were able to, interact with this character, get it to say lines, they can speak back and forth, things like that, but it's all generative, and they were able to in fashion with what we would think, what young folk would do is, they got Darth Vader to swear. Um, and so that was caught and, they rolled it back for a little bit. But the underlying technology, Epic Games has rolled out as part of their Unreal for Fortnite developer package. So you can start developing AI-powered NPCs for the game. And this is just the first big splash into that pond, and we're gonna start seeing that tied in with other, uh, game engines and other SDKs and things like that. So maybe character A's got to play there.
Jimmy, please, just for those who don't know, can you just say what NPC means?
Oh, sorry. So an NPC is a non-player character. It's a common vernacular for any character within a game with RPG elements, role playing game elements that allow you to interact. They're usually there to provide you information to help you further along the storyline. What this, yeah,
These are the computer generated characters in the game, not driven by a live human player somewhere on the network.
exactly, exactly. And one of the big hurdles has been to program these NPCs with enough story, nuance, and character to feel more and more engaging, right? And games that have these elements of really well written NPCs tend to get a lot of attention. So having AI being able to generate an adaptive conversation with a player is huge in terms of storytelling elements and, a mechanic that allows you to further and deepen the story that you're trying to tell in your game. All right, so who's got the next one? What's the next bit of information that, everyone wanted to talk about?
I can go. I'm I'm seeing a trend here in the news that drew my attention, and it's all about agents. Uh, there are a few other things that were newsworthy, but it seems like in this year of the agents, there's a lot of development that's going on there. And so I want to start out with the Darwin Gödel machine. The Darwin Gödel machine is a new AI from Sakana AI, the people we've trumpeted previously because of their very sort of, I think, prescient view of how AI will develop. And they did it originally with this evolutionary model merge process that achieved really great advances in the capabilities of models, expanding the capabilities of models by marrying and creating a child out of the combination of models through the merge method, and then doing that in an evolutionary process that allowed them to pick the best children out of those merges and go forward that way. Well, now the Darwin Gödel machine, which they just announced with an archive paper, is a self-improving agent that can modify its own code. It's inspired by evolution, they say, and they're going to maintain an expanding lineage of these variants of agents that are created through the evolutionary process. But each one of them now, once given birth, isn't static. It can build itself. Now it can grow. So modern typical agentic systems, while very powerful, are static. Once they're deployed, their intelligence is basically fixed, right? They have tools so they can access things and stay up to date, but they don't improve their own reasoning and their own range of capabilities. But Sakana says continuous self-improvement is the key to development of stronger AI capabilities. And their Darwin Gödel machine is built from the ground up to enable AI systems that can learn and evolve on their own, evolving their capabilities just like humans do. So that's a really cool idea. And they're demonstrating it, this machine. And I haven't yet, I've added the Darwin Gödel machine paper to my notebook LM, but I haven't had time to go back and listen to the podcast about it. Anyway, I also wanted to kind of weave backwards a little bit to the idea of video generation, because one of the principal agents out there, Manus AI, now introduces video generation. So you can transform, a prompt to Manus now into a complete story with generated video. And so you have an agent that can do all of the things that are magical and require, the experience and skills of a Junji Hatcher to do video generation. You can do that with the assistance of a multi-step, long process, task-oriented agent, Manus.
Very cool. I am gonna say that we're super excited about agents. We've got an agent show coming up next week. I'm not even sure Manus is gonna be a part of the show because there are so many other very cool agents. But I just want to promo that since that happened. Um, the but now I've that got in my head, and now I don't know what I was gonna say next. Pearl, welcome. Did you bring a story?
So was that
Sorry,
you just
weird.
gonna listen to all of you for half a second?
That's cool.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, I will more than gladly give you all the half second. All right.
I know what mine is now.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Go for it.
okay. Meta has announced that by 2026, m- um, advertisements are going to be AI generated. And this is really interesting because they are completely going against the trend, right? Not that AI advertisement won't be generated, but that everybody else is like, hey, no, we like it's got a little tag. We're going to embed the stuff so that you know definitely that this is being generated by AI. Meta is like, give us a concept and a budget. It's all done for you. Right. And there's no part of that. That doesn't mean that it won't at some point be included, but they tend not to be on that same bandwagon that you will be notified that there will be some indication that this is an AI generated ad as opposed to a human generated ad. Um, so but that is interesting as we move into our thing, but that was the next one that I had lined up. I think what we're gonna see is what we're gonna look for is um the ability to do these in incredibly targeted ways, right? Even more targeted hyper personalization. Catchword for Q2, Q3, where are we? Um so yeah, I think those are the pieces that we're gonna look for in the future, but this is an important thing. It's obviously also a great boon for businesses, because it's likely to give you um, great quality ads with great targetization for relatively little money. You just come with a budget.
Well,
Andy's laughing.
well, I've got a couple of stories in the same vein, so let me weave them really quickly. Anthropic has also created a new page as part of their blog called Claude Explains, which is essentially all the content is AI generated. that's then curated by human editors and things like that. So I haven't got a chance to read through the material yet, but it'll be interesting to see if we can get some good content, blog information from Claude Explains. Now, this is not the first time we're seeing this. Like you were just talking about AI generated ads. Perplexity came out with their daily stories on their pod. They made a podcast to talk about Perplexity reading off stories that are news stories essentially, and that seemed to go fairly well. So we'll see um, further movement into AI generated content for us to consume, and we'll see how much we like it. Like everyone seems to rave about the content that is created from Notebook LM. So is that going to just translate into a general acceptance? Right. And I agree with you, being aware of what it is or how it was generated will be an important factor. Now on the go ahead.
And Notebook LM just opened up a feature where you can share your notebooks publicly.
Yes. Yes, you can share it publicly, and there's even a video generation component now. So we'll Notebook LM seems to be the one of the rock stars for Google. Now on the advertising side, I just wanted to bring up that TikTok, you know, fastest growing, largest um, platform that all the kids like, um, is on they've just announced that as of yesterday, they will have AI-powered ad tools for advertisers. So this AI-powered tool, um, it will give you it'll allow you to or give you suggestions based on, like, user demographic, what industry, what kind of keywords or types of ads that you want to create based around a keyword or theme or anything like that based upon your demographic. So it'll give you suggested keywords like, "Oh, well, your demographic is X, Y, and Z. So you should make something that talks about this because that's related to your product." So we'll see how well that plays out. Um, Maybe it'll make ads better because it'll be better targeted, but I can just toss that out, and I mean nobody needs it, right? It's not the driving force behind internet. Okay, um, Carl, we have spoken for just a moment. Do you have a story that you're ready to speak about? I mean, I can go on. I mean, I've got tons of
Yeah. No, the only one that I think was of any consequence for me when I was using it was the ability for Claude to their integrations and their new the ability to do research, so kind of their version of deep research with their connectors, which um for those who haven't used MCP before, especially if you have a Zapier account, it actually makes things a lot easier. Not that adding MCP to your Claude desktop or just your Claude web app in general is hard to do, but now it's even easier. So there's a way to it's a simple click connect to Zapier integrations, and then from Zapier you have all the list of their 8,000 app integrations that you can so you integrate your Outlook, integrate your analytics, integrate whatever. So think about it as your Claude web app now supercharged with all the apps. So an example would be if you have Google Analytics, your Claude app connected to your Google Analytics. How often have we had to report on something from our website, and then you have to go to the website and you have to go, create a report in analytics and figure all that out. But now with Claude, whether you connect it natively or connect it to Zapier, it can do that analysis pretty well and create graphs, charts, And if you use, because with Sonnet 4, you can leverage artifacts and create really cool applications on top of that too. So there's a lot of like interconnectivity, and it's a pretty, I think, gonna be underused option. Now, the only problem I had is when I was connecting it through Zapier, I was getting internal server errors. So what I'm trying to do now is reconnect it, rebuild a new Claude client in Zapier to connect back to the Claude web app. But I think, but there's a bunch of native integrations you can have as well, like Google Drive, Gmail, and so on.
Yeah, this is the advent of an enabling of a large ecosystem of tools that LLMs will have access to. The MCP protocol, the Model Context Protocol, is really making it very simple, point and click, for you to give your agents or a single LLM access to a wide range of tools. 8,000 is a lot of tools. So there's a lot of freestanding integrations there. That's great. So I want to stick with agents here for a second and say that there's a class of agents that are focused on not just access to tools, but actually operating on the web browser on the web. So these are browser agents, let's call them. And there's a new testing benchmark platform out there to compare agents' abilities to operate on the web, and it's called WebBench. It's a comprehensive data set to assess whether AI browser agents, perform well or ill across a diverse set of tasks. 5,750 tasks across 452 websites with 2,454 tasks. That's open sourced. And so you can point your browser agent at this WebBench test and get a score back. And it tests them both on the ability to read those websites as well as write to those websites, which turns out to be much harder for an agent than just collecting information, which is kind of, HTML history. But HTML hasn't historically allowed you to write to the page, right? So you have to do that through your keyboard and your, browser to do that. Form filling, authentication, file downloads, all these actions that the browser agents can take, those are now tested, but they struggle on the right tasks more. But we'll see, because of this new benchmark, we'll see that the browser agents are going to work swiftly to try to top the leaderboard on that evaluation.
Yeah, that sounds super awesome. That's probably one of the clearest benchmarks that I've that I've seen related to AI. It's like, hey, here are all the data points, and this is what we're testing on. So a lot of the benchmarks that we see coming out for AI is confusing, at best. But uh, I kind of want to see, is there a leaderboard right now? Is it both a test bench and they've posted a leaderboard?
I didn't check that, so,
Okay.
maybe somebody in the chat will, quickly evaluate whether WebBench has a published leaderboard.
Yeah, because I'd love to know who's at the head of it. Is it is it an operator? Is it Arc, or for browser wise, is it Arc or Opera or one of those? Because Opera just came out with their own browser agent. So that yeah, that sounds really interesting to me. All right, I've got another one, and Carl, go for it.
You have one. So I think I put this into the community for any of those who haven't seen it yet. So you do have access to Runner H, which is the new the new agent. Now I've been on that wait list for a while now. So the only thing now I think you only have 3 runs per day. So I have 1 remaining because I was trying to do something and it said it couldn't do it, and that was my one. My one run was like, I want you to do this. I can't do this. I was like, oh, that's the end of one run. And then this other one, I was just testing how it would pull a specific job detail, which is pretty good actually. So if any of you, I have one more run. I don't know if why don't I share this and maybe you can why don't we have some fun with it and let's do a run together.
And this is a promo for next week's show also,
Okay.
where we are definitely doing the showdown. So if you don't get in for your run choice in this, we'll do a poll in
Perfect.
the community.
So these are just the basic starting integrations. You can submit a connection request. It's interesting because their video has lots of different logos, but then I was like, oh, okay. So they always start with the very basic ones. I'm curious to know if I haven't integrated this. If I integrate Zapier, does that mean it can access my Zapier? I don't know. I'm not sure what it can do. Now, I've been looking at some of this kind of stuff, like what have been people or what has their base productivity things that they've created. But is there anything out there that, I don't know, anybody wants to take a look at? I thought this was neat because you have highly involved, fully automated, moderately involved. I put moderately involved. But is there something complex that you wanted to do? Now, I could. So, what I could do is try something that I was working with GenSpark on yesterday. And it was a pretty complex request, and it doesn't require any integrations necessarily.
Mhm.
Yeah, give it a shot. I think just an example of the level of complexity that you can test with it.
Okay, so this is GenSpark. What I was trying to do yesterday was this one. So this program, I was trying to do something for a potential prospect. So I used O3 to create this example, create a full public engagement campaign for a 250 home community, blah, blah, blah. Here's the latitude and longitude. Pull Calgary engagement guidelines, similar case studies, draft FAQ, create a slide deck, 30-second promo video, simple microsite. So this is what GenSpark did. So it did did the research. Then it actually used the map tool, looked at the map where we're going. Here's the coordinates, reviewed the places in there, created for me a budget, um, created for the budget, created for me a kind of a public engagement website, then created me a promo plan, then created me a preview image, created me a preview video using VO2. It's kind of off a bit, but that's okay. Then it created me a power presentation slides, which is fantastic, by the way. Like this looks pretty cool. No, I haven't checked if it's remotely accurate.
Mhm. But just being able to generate, that sounds pretty cool.
It can call for me. So, and it can, you could actually just, if I press this, you can put the number in and it'll do the phone call to the community center to book a meeting or whatever it is. And so on. So, and then it came a full public engagement plan. And so if you see what GenSpark can do, like that is, if you saw all of that, and that took about, I'd say 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Oh no, sorry, a little bit longer, about 15 minutes to create everything. So let's run that here and I'll let it go.
Okay.
Now,
So you
the
said
difference-
GenSpark. This is GenSpark, or this was running?
oh, sorry. Sorry. So the GenSpark ran this,
Okay.
and but I noticed with GenSpark Manus, they're like a typical web scraper. So versus Operator, which creates a virtual machine. So Runner Age also creates a virtual machine. So I'm just gonna skip back to this. So this is how it's kind of working at the moment, right? So it's like this. So it gave the task, which is here's the tasks that it's supposed to do. Now it's actually, I've only run this once because the other time, right? No, I can't use it. So now it's doing it. And what I've seen it done with the previous tasks. So I was just looking, I went to the City of Calgary career page. And when I ran this through deep research, when I ran this through Google's deep research, when I ran this through Manus and GenSpark, the problem that it had with any web page is that what I wanted to do was click on a job, go to the job page, scrape the job description, title, salary, and put it into a document, right? All the other tools couldn't do that because of the way that the website set that up, PHP, and then there's also anti-scraping measures that some websites have put in. This thing, though, because it's a virtual machine, actually you could see it go page by page, extract, literally do this for me as if I was doing it. So that's the difference between Runner H and some of the other agents. So that I thought that was kind of interesting. Another
Organization's a little different. Okay.
Yes. Interesting too about this is I tried to run this the exact prompt I used in Perplexity Labs, and it couldn't. It kind of could do it, but it kind of couldn't. So I thought it was a kind of neat experiment to just test 1, 2, 3 what the agent capacity looks like. But if you're looking at what it's doing right now, this is pretty neat. Like, this is to me one of the smoothest things that I've seen, because even Operator isn't like this.
Right. So
Right.
this is not, you guys are watching the Daily AI Show either live or recorded. So you're watching a video stream of us watching a live video stream, because it's streaming video of what Runner H is doing, right? This is not something that Carl's prepared. Like there's not a resource of go and look at these things. It's literally going and looking at these things.
Unless there's some person, because we've seen like the person in like, I don't know, whatever country that's just doing this right now.
I didn't say it was AI, though I believe it's AI. I said it's not Carl.
Because wasn't there a company that got caught that their
Yes.
entire AI was not like, it was all bogus? It's like
Yes.
random people. that
Oh,
were-
it was seven. Apparently, it was a pool of 700 programmers, freelance programmers that the company hired to make the code, and then because of some wonkiness, one of the investors pulled out their money, and then they didn't have the money to pay all these freelance programmers to accomplish it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And what's funny is the number, like because Amazon got caught with one of their products as well that required 700 people to run their video. Basically, it's a store run on video feeds that you could see what product it was, and it would automatically be charged to the account.
I do want to point out, it's interesting if you're looking at what it's doing, and I think it's going to go on a loop here because it's trying to log into Canva. Now, I do have a Canva account, but I'm kind of curious why it chose Canva versus GenSpark, which it created on its own. Versus here, it's going to Canva. So I'm like, that's interesting where it was going, right?
Mhm.
Like, you're looking at it, what it's doing. I didn't say anything about Canva. Nothing.
Right. And that might lead. I mean, it's all speculation, of course, but that might lead towards it being leaning towards using your account information. So if you provide account information for it, or what those integrations might provide, then it would be able to go into. What is it filling in the sign-in page?
I don't know. It's called validuseremail@gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe a little stuck there. We're probably gonna. Yeah,
Let's not
this is
reveal to Carl's passwords and stuff.
well. That's the thing is that it doesn't have it. it doesn't have that information. It's guessing and trying to log in with an account.
You see this though? It's
Yeah.
check mark everything. Like you did nothing. You did
Yeah.
maybe you did that one, but I know you didn't do like with 30-second promo. You didn't do this, nor did you do this. Develop a microbyte. I'm curious what you're planning to do now, right? Like what like how are you gonna develop this thing?
Right.
So
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Well, I imagine it seems to be stuck on trying to log in. So let's put a pause on that one. All right. Okay. So Beth or Andy, do you have another story that you want to highlight as we as we masticate on on the experience of Runner H?
Yeah. So let's just say that Runner H demonstrates that there are agentic frameworks that are quite compelling. And they're also fraught with little problems that are going to make them, unreliable in the near term. But eventually, you can see how the class of agents like Manus, GenSpark, and Runner H are going to be able to do, you know, fire and forget missile type tasks for you. Hey, and they're going to be major undertakings. Right now, it gets stuck.
I do like
It's
how
a
you're
long
using the
thing.
term fire and forget missile. I'm like, Palantir, like they're getting a bit of flack in the news because um weren't weren't they there was something about them. One of the things that they do as part of their package is they can track essentially enemy combatants using AI. The scary part is because of the contract they signed with the Pentagon, you have to look this up. I'm just paraphrasing, is that well, if Palantir can identify enemy combatants, the danger is because you know what's happening in the States in terms of illegal immigration. It there's a very, very simple connection. Be like, well, why don't we use Palantir to identify illegal immigrants?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what you're referring to is news that Palantir has been given a government contract
Yes.
to do this kind of AI analysis of data about, you know,
Everything.
who knows about people here, not battlefield systems.
And
Yes.
So yeah, it's a little scary that way.
the question in that context is the is the is the ability, and I'm asking it as a question. I don't think it's a question, but is the ability to identify someone and compare it to a list or identify
Like
people,
it's
make a
classification.
list, right? Make a list
Classification of
and then
people's profiles as friend or foe. So you can
right.
imagine how in the hands of an adversarial political system,
Mhm.
Republicans versus Democrats or, conservatives versus progressives, having a government that's trying to evaluate which side of that equation you
Yeah.
live on is anti-free speech.
Right. And it the sort of what I'm trying to get at is that it's a like everybody in the bucket kind of technology, and then we sort the bucket, right?
Well,
We don't determine who gets in the bucket based on a previous categorization, or do we?
No, it's everything and everyone.
every
Yeah.
there was a to follow that up, there's one person which very, very interesting because it popped up on my feed because of AI. So I think the big beautiful bill, right? We talked about this a couple days or yesterday, talking about how like it gives 10 years no regulation to AI. And I'm like, that's not the greatest ideas. The one person that they put on interview that for the most part, I kind of disagree with the majority of her opinions. But this one, I'm like, yeah, I agree 100% with her opinion. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying we should not be giving um like just a blank check. And she's like, and she was more on the states, right? It's like we should not be preventing states from innate like creating rules to prevent AI because she was like, we don't even know what it looks like in a year. 10 years? 5 years? This is a bill that I would vote. Like, this is where she's saying, I will vote against that. And I was like, yeah, I was.
And it's an example of an attempt to put a policy decision into a budget reconciliation,
It makes
which
kind
is
of,
not the right way to govern.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so you asked me if
JP,
I
take
had
us back.
something, you asked if I had something else to talk about, and yes, I do. I saw a little blurb about Mark Andreessen in an interview that he did this past week, where he's saying general purpose robots are going to be developed at an enormous scale in the over the course of the next 5-10 years, and the US shouldn't try to get manufacturing onshore, the old style type manufacturing. We should aggressively pursue, lean in hard was the term he used, into designing and building the supply chains to build these robots. And he painted a picture of the people on the coasts are designing, how this will be done, and the actual manufacturing will be done by all of the many cities in the interior that will collaboratively build the automated factories that will build all of these various consumer and commercial robots.
So
That's
a wide
different
adoption of
vision.
embodied AI.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a couple of fun-ish stories regarding OpenAI. Number one, free users will get memory, or at least a version of it. So that's been the majority of response to memory has been positive. It does add a certain usability when it comes to your OpenAI or your ChatGPT chats. So we'll see how it's implemented with in this lightweight version they're talking about for the free users. Um, and hopefully that'll develop more and progress so that it becomes more and more useful for all the users. Now, in another bit of OpenAI news, um, there's a movie there's gonna be a movie about Sam Altman and OpenAI and the hiring, firing, rehiring process that happened over that one Thanksgiving weekend in November of 2023. And apparently it's gonna be called Artificial. Now, these biopics are not, unheard of. We've in fact got 2 or 3 Steve Jobs focused ones, in the past. The first one I remember being the Pirates of Silicon Valley, about the whole Apple, Microsoft, shenanigan there. But, life imitating art, imitating life. So we'll see how that turns out. Apparently, it's supposed to have a few lighthearted or comedic elements to it, like a writer from Saturday Night Live is gonna be writing it. So we'll see how that turns out. But
So
yeah.
is this the jump the shark moment in the AI simulation that we are all now living in a weird way, or is it not until it becomes a live musical that we're clear that
Well,
that
I think
we've jumped the shark here?
I think what it is it's a combination of the downward spiral and crazy rocky future that Hollywood as a whole is experiencing, right? Um, with productions moving all over the other, away from Hollywood, studios not greenlighting things that they don't think are automatically going to make money. Like the whole process has nothing to do with how good the material is. It all has how well they can monetize it. So that's been something that's been going on for a while now. But I think what's being recognized here, or at least by studio execs, is we have new rock stars. We have new celebrity, and the new celebrity in the AI space are these very well-known names, right? So Sam Altman is definitely within our bubble is spoken about all the time. all the CEOs of the big foundational AI model makers, everybody knows them. We see them in their marketing. We see them in the news. AI is becoming more and more talked about in mainstream. So these are the touch points that people have when they think about AI. It's just like how ChatGPT for most people is AI, like they're synonymous, right? So I think that's what's being recognized uh, by the studios and saying, "Hey, let's make a film about that." Why? Because it's popular, it's timely, and we could probably make a lot of money off of it in one form or another. Plus, we'll see who actually buys into the film because,
Right.
OpenAI Mike or Sam personally might just go, "Yeah, here's a
Right.
few million to make that movie." Who are the investor list? Because that's something that's never mentioned, when it comes to movies, and these things take millions upon millions of dollars for the blockbusters anyway.
Right.
So
But that's nothing in AI money,
Oh,
right?
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
like,
If you could drop
yeah,
$10 million, you have this nationwide or global release and you get a whole bunch of, good talented people writing it and producing it and, filming it and making it, then what? Now you have, instant marketing. $10 million for a global marketing, package for a group like OpenAI is a drop in the bucket. So and this will reach all of the people that just watch movies, and that's nearly everybody. So, we'll see. That's the way I look at it is that's like, "Oh, hey, this is a great way." Because people, uh, like to consume their news with an entertainment factor, right? I watch the Daily Show, right? The Daily AI Show, you know, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, all of these news programs where you get to absorb news, but in an entertaining way. Almost the entirety of YouTube's that way. So
and you get to
Yeah.
set up the story that you wanna be told, right?
Exactly. You
I
get
I
to control the narrative for 8 billion people.
How many people assume that what they know about, the assassination of JFK, they know because of the movie that was made, right? Which elevated us a certain set of theories, right? Like, yeah, okay. Wow.
Exactly.
My mind is blown on just talking now.
All right.
Well, I have a couple of closers here just to catch up on some questions that were left open. The
Okay.
first is I forget who it was who asked in the chat. Who was it who talked about the coasts designing the robots and the interior, labor forces building the robots? That's Mark Andreessen. He's a major commentator and a multi-billionaire guy who is, at the Elon Musk kind of level. So if you search for Mark Andreessen, A16Z is his website. That Andreessen Horowitz is the venture capital firm behind him. The other thing is that on the WebBench pass rate percent success, there is a leaderboard. It turns out, just doing some quick searches here, this is being developed by a company called Skyvern, really to show that their new, browser agent is at the state of the art. But they are surpassed by on these tests, overall pass rate, percent success. Anthropic Sonic 3.7 computer use is at the top of that leaderboard at 66%, and Skyvern 2.0 is at 64%, while OpenAI's computer use system is at 59.8%.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
go
So
Anthropic.
So before we wrap up with our final stories, I have to squeeze in a AI in science story. All right. So if you remember an AI in science story from back in November of 2024, I had mentioned that Tokyo University of Science had come up with a dye-sensitized solar cell-based synaptic device. This was to provide power and storage for these types of devices that could have, many different potentials. I was always imagining cyberware and things like that. Well, now, less than a year later, the same team from Tokyo, from the Tokyo University of Science, the same scientists have come up with a self-powered, because of that dye-sensitized device, artificial synapse that mimics human color vision. And so, what makes this really important in science development is when it comes to computer vision, right? There's a ton of information that our current computer vision uses, right? It's just absorbed so much data from that from the source, right? Whatever video camera, if you want to imagine those kinds of things, and that requires a lot of power to compute and process all of that information. Well, these folks, these scientists came up with a method so that that data is handled by that dye sensitive solar powered device. So it's self powered now. And the sensor they came up with has near human levels of color recognition. So all of the various spectrum within 10 nanometers. So scientifically speaking, visible range of light is described in nanometers. So, like green is like 900 something nanometers or variants of green. And so this will be the same thing for red and blue and whatnot. So what this sensor does is it's got its own power generation, right, through its solar cell, and it can now recognize near human levels of color recognition. So it's one big step towards having devices that can replicate and be self-sustaining with vision and tied in with computer vision. So the scientists mentioned that they see immediate application in many industries, but one of the main ones being here's how we can improve autonomous vehicles, because now the computer vision requires less power. It can be self-sustained and can see the road and other, objects, much like a human can. So this is one more additive feature along those lines. Now, I like to see this as a potential development into cybernetic eyeballs, right? So if you can replicate the level of human vision, but in a cybernetic eyeball, great. I am looking forward to that because mine don't work and I would like new ones. You can go the bio route as well. I'm totally fine with that, but uh, it doesn't look like the bio development is as quick as hardware. So we'll see.
Okay,
We'll
hold on a second on that. So the funny thing about this, and we were joking about this, is like, oh, imagine if we had that. Now, the problem with there is like, let's say you forgot to say, I don't know, charge the battery or something in your
see.
device.
Well, that's the thing. It's self-powered. It charges itself.
Yes, it could, but imagine if somehow, somewhere, your power comes off and you're just walking around. And the joke was like, uh-oh, I didn't charge it, or it's running out of power. And it's like, now I'm blind. And now I'm blind. What's going on? Like
Right,
you
right, right. Yeah.
yes.
I
I can't
yes, and of course you wanna, overcome certain, hurdles like that before you implement it, but, I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem for those who wanted some form of, auxiliary site who didn't already have it, right? And they wanted that part of the process, then
Yeah,
yeah,
I know
put on
there
there.
will be a TikTok trend of like people running out of juice with their eye thing and just pausing the stupidest, they falling down or whatever it is. Do you remember like way back when people were hitting themselves into poles, like looking on their phones? Imagine you're just walking around and out of nowhere, you just like it just craps out on you and you like trip, hit
Well,
something.
And this is one of those weird things where, like, when culture gets when culture gets a sense of what it's like to have a disability, like the disabled community is like,
Yeah.
woot, we've gone mainstream, we're gonna see all kinds of stuff. No, we just see like you're just thinking now we have it's not like people have compassion for what it's like to be blind. We're all just gonna record ourselves walking into stuff and isn't that funny? It's like, okay, could we take
No,
our
and so
experience?
for Greg puts a good point, right? So it's like now you're connected to online, so you're just gonna see people like walking straight, but suddenly turning right because their eyes now connected to the web, and it looks ridiculous, right? You're just walking, and imagine like so texting and driving. What would you call this? Like I don't even know what the term would be when you're like online driving.
Here's the thing, Carl. We already know that no one's going to be driving. There's just going to be cars that
True.
people get into.
That's
And
true.
then they can spend all of their attention doing other things because they don't have to worry about driving. How much time is spent in driving vehicles just to get from place to place? Now that is an amount of time and attention that can be sold to advertisers.
Right.
I don't want it, but it's probably going to happen.
No, I don't want stupid things while I'm sitting down and all these things are coming at my face, which is already terrible. It's like the worst case version of the Apple Vision Pro, just now localized inside your brain.
Okay, well, Junmi might want to beta test your, maybe not beta test. Junmi's a candidate for your cybernetic eyeballs. Andy and I would be delighted to test your glasses that adjust to what we're actually looking at, so that we could have that. I suspect Junmi would be too. So hit us up, Daily AI Show. We would love to do that if you were designing that. All right.
All right. Unless anyone has anything else they really want to get to, I think that's a great note to end up on. All right. So everyone, thank you so much for sticking with us for today's episode. This goes out to all of our chat viewers, subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really does help us out. And if this has sparked any discussion you want to keep going, join our Slack community. You can head over to dailyaishowcommunity.com and gain access there. Now, what's coming up on the rest of the week? Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about what the Microsoft CEO has been talking about, their agentic web and the future of software. And then Friday, we're talking about OpenAI's memory. So now that they've just opened it up to the folks, we're gonna see what's available for everybody and go a little deeper dive into that. And Friday is actually going to be a triple feature. Not only are we talking about that's going to be talking about OpenAI memory, we're also going to be continuing our vibe coding live segment. And we've got another episode of the Sci-Fi AI show available.
Are we
too.
going to be doing a live show today at 10 a.m. Pacific, so 11 whenever that is, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the rollouts, whatever else is happening?
What are you talking about?
It's OpenAI's like live event that they're doing.
Oh, OpenAI is having a live event today at 10 a.m. Pacific. Awesome. Cool. Yes, I would like to be there and see what's going on. Carl, are you going to be there?
Yep. I am.
All right, cool. Beth?
This is literally what it sounds like when we schedule things, everybody. Yes, we are committing. We will be there. And the show's not
Because
done
this
yet.
is live and now we owe it to the internet and everyone who's in chat. So chat, can we get confirmation from you? Gareth, awesome, cool. Because if I don't see you there and you said you were, I'm going to go tisk, tisk, tisk. All right.
So this is another reason to subscribe and hit that notification button, because when we do these random, like, hey, we've seen people show up, like, thank God for notifications, had no idea. So like, come be part of our thing.
Yeah, so you'll see that notification come in pretty soon right after the show. All right, again, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you for everybody who's watching this later. Hope to see you in Slack and hope to see you later today. All right, thank you. Aloha.